Jake here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we are taking a look at the Raxium LED projector headlights with black housings and clear lenses for 2019 and newer Ram 1500s with factory halogen headlights. These lights from Raxium are a great option for Ram 1500 owners who are looking for an upgrade to the look and performance of the factory lighting of their truck. The light output of factory halogen bulbs is lacking, to put it mildly, so if your truck didn't come with LEDs out of the gate, these units are going to be a great option for you. Plus, they bring an even more modern, updated look that will set your truck apart from other Rams. Now, as far as aftermarket headlights go, you can tell that these err a bit on the side of subtlety. You can see that Raxium took some inspiration from the OEM LED headlights that you could option on the Ram 1500, and to the uninitiated, they might even be mistaken for factory lights. But there is a lot more going on here than just meets the eye. The first thing you're likely going to notice are the large LED daytime running lights on either side of the main projectors. They shine a bright white, and with the main beams on or off, it combines with that black housing to give off a purposeful, menacing look. The main beams themselves are comprised of 3 projector lenses, and they cast a clean, bright, focused light onto the road ahead of you, much better than the factory units. Be sure to check out our customer photos, and you'll get a good idea of what these look like lit up on the truck. You're going to notice a vastly improved visibility with these units too. But perhaps the coolest feature to note here are the sequential LED turn signals. Now, I don't know about you all, of course, but I am a big fan of sequential turn signals. There's just something about them that is so very satisfying to look at. So on these lights, you get a strip of LEDs across the bottom that functions as the turn signal. So they're going to show that bright amber light when illuminated and just show up as clear, as you can see right here, when they are off. Overall, I think this is a pretty good looking headlight. It looks almost factory with some nice detailing to set it apart, and on top of all the functionality and good looks, it is worth noting that these are DOT and SAE approved, which of course means they are entirely street legal. So now onto the construction. This setup again features a clear polycarbonate lens over that black internal housing we discussed earlier. You also get OEM grade ABS plastic for the overall housing, and each headlight is sealed against the elements. So between the materials for the exterior and the LEDs inside, these are basically a worry-free setup. No need to be concerned about changing out blown bulbs, and you don't have any compromise with materials either. They also feature integrated adjusters on the back to make aiming the lights easy, and again, that's going to keep them in full compliance with DOT and SAE regulations. You can see the adjusters right back here. So how much is this all going to cost? Well, these lights are going to come in around $1,500, and for a full LED setup, that is a pretty good price. These sort of land in the middle of the category as far as cost is concerned. There are, of course, more expensive options out there, and some a bit less expensive, but for the cost, you're really getting a great value for your money, especially with something that looks nearly factory. Now, as far as installation is concerned, these will come in at a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty scale, and you should budget about 2 hours to get everything buttoned up. There are a few trim pieces that need to be removed from your truck in order to get the old lights out and get these new ones bolted in, and you'll have to run a little bit of wiring in order to get those cool sequential turn signals working as intended. However, everything you need to completely install is included when you buy the lights, so there's no need to fret there. This is a job that is certainly accomplishable at home. Just make sure you take the time to aim your headlights properly once you've got everything in and working. So with that, let's head on over to the install bay, and one of our pros will show you the process for getting these installed on your Ram.
Tools required for this install include an impact gun, an electric ratchet, a regular ratchet, clip remover tool, a panel remover tool, an 8 and 10 millimeter sockets, and a T20 and T25 Torx bits. What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be installing a set of headlights on our Ram. So first we're going to watch a quick uninstall video, and then I'll meet you back here for the install.
So for this install, you're going to need to pop your hood, remove your upper rad cover, the grill, and some of the surrounding trim. It's a pretty simple process. I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. So let's get started. So we're going to start by removing our upper rad cover. There's a bunch of plastic clips that need to be removed. So I'm going to use my plastic clip removal tool and pop the heads of them open. And then once I get those all removed, I can pull the panel off. and we're gonna pull this panel right off. The next piece we need to remove is the headlight trim and grille trim here on the top of the vehicle. It's a combination of a pop clip and 10mm screws. So I'm gonna use my clip tool once again and a 10mm socket to pull all of these out, and then I can just remove this piece from the vehicle. Next, I'm going to use my 8mm socket to remove some of the screws here on the inner wheel well and pull the liner back to expose a little bit more hardware that's hiding behind the liner so I can get this panel off that surrounds the headlight. So now that I have the liner pulled back, I've exposed this 10mm bolt here inside the wheel well liner, and I'm going to use my 10mm on a ratchet and just pull that out. Now I'll just repeat this process on the other side. Next, I'm going to need to remove my grille. There are 3 10mm bolts at the bottom of either side of the grille, and there are 4 across the top. I'll just use my 10mm socket on my small impact gun, remove all of those screws, and pull the grille off. So now that I have my grille removed, I can go ahead and start unbolting and unhooking my headlights. I have a clip here at the top as well as a 10mm bolt, and then I have a 10mm bolt here on the side from the fender, and I'll just use my 10mm socket and my clip tool and pull those out, and then I can unhook my headlights. It's a little hard to see, but I'm just going to unplug my headlight connectors from the back. Just push down on the tabs to release them, and then you can pull the headlight out.
So now that we have our factory headlights removed from the truck, we can transfer over our bracket to our new headlights. So there's going to be 2 T25 Torx screws on the side, as well as 3 more T25s on the bottom. Then we can line up our clip tabs. And now we can reinstall our hardware. And now we're ready to get this on the truck. So before we can install our headlights, we have to go ahead and run our wiring harness. This is going to connect into our fuse box and power our daytime running lights. So we can snake it up in through here to our fuse box, and then the shorter end is going to go to your driver's side, and then we can route our passenger side. And we'll make sure to keep this away from anything hot or moving so we don't pinch or melt our wire. So now coming back to our fuse box, it's going to be right next to the battery on the driver's side. We can pinch in these clips and lift our cover off. And then now we're going to be looking for the F38 fuse. So if we look at the top of our box, we have our fuse diagram. Our F38 is going to be right here. So if you have a fuse puller, you can use this, or you can grab a pair of needle nose pliers and we can remove that fuse. And then we'll be plugging our fuse tap into that same location. And then we can throw our cover back on, making sure not to pinch our wire. So now we're ready to install our headlight onto our truck. Now this kit does come with an adapter harness. So if your harness on your headlight plugs into your stock harness on the truck, then you won't need to run this. However, if they are different connections, you will need to use this. Now we can plug in our electrical connectors. And now we can slide our headlight into place. And we can start our hardware. And now we can tighten down our 2 bolts with a 10mm socket. And we can repeat that same process on the other side. So now with both of our headlights installed, we can reinstall our grille. And then our 2 longer bolts are going to go on the inside, and our shorter one will be on the outside. And then we have our 4 bolts up top. And now we can tighten these all down with a 10mm socket. So on the bottom of our grill, we have our 3 bolts. We can tighten down with our 10mm socket, and then we can do the same for the other 3 bolts on the other side. So now we can reinstall our plastic trim piece. So we'll line up our tabs and press it into place. And now we can reinstall our 2 8mm screws. And we can tighten those down with our 8mm socket. And we can repeat that same process on the other side. So now we're ready to reinstall our upper chrome trim piece. So we can slide this into place and then get our screws in place. And now we can tighten all of those down with our 10mm socket. And now we can reinstall our radiator cover. And now we can reinstall our 12 push clips to hold our radiator cover in.
That's going to do it for our review and install of the Raxium LED projector headlights for the 2019 and newer Ram 1500. Thanks so much for tuning in, and remember, for all things Ram, be sure to keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.